Okay, great. Thank you very much. So welcome to March's Town Fund Board meeting for Clare Cross. If we could maybe start with apologies for absence. Is Damon on the line to give the latest status?
No apologies have been received, Chair.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Then move straight on to declarations of interest. From the points on the agenda today, is any member have any pecuniary interests or other interests that need to be added to the register for today? Don't see any hands raised, so I'll take that as a no, and we can move straight on to point 3. Minutes of the last meeting, which took place on the 6th of November last year. I believe the minutes are a true reflection of the Town Fund Board meeting that we held in November, and would like to move them to be added to the record minutes. Any objections, or anyone second that? Andrew King, you have a question or 2 seconds? You're on mute at the moment.
Second a minute.
Thank you very much. Okay, then I'll move straight on to the good news of the meeting. If I can hand over to, is it Carl doing the funding announcement?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So, as I'm sure you've all seen the press announcement, we've secured 24.1 million, which is absolutely fantastic news, and all down to the hard work of everybody on the board and Nexus Planning, who obviously helped pull together the town investment plan. So, yeah, it's fantastic result. 3 of the 10 projects have conditions attached, so we have to respond to those within the next 3 weeks, I believe. Mel, correct me if I'm wrong. So we've got conditions to respond to on those, but they're not particularly onerous in terms of conditions. So what we'll do is we'll pull together a response, and we'll share it with the chair and vice chair, and then if needs be the wider board, and then we can get them submitted to say that we understand and these are our responses to conditions. The draft heads of terms is with our legal department as we speak, so they can read through it and let us know the ins and outs of it all. But yeah, so the take-home message, I suppose, is 24.1 million, absolutely fantastic news, and they're all down to the board's hard work and Nexus, as I say.
Excellent. Comment from yourself, Melanie?
Sorry, I just need to get myself off mute. Yeah, morning everybody. Well, just congratulations, because it is just amazing news. So really, and the fact you got name checked by the Chancellor as well during his budget speech was just icing on the cake. So just in terms of the work going forward, you've got until the 17th of March to actually agree to the heads of terms or agree to the offer. But then you've got 2 months, within 2 months of you having accepted the offer, that's when you've got to address the conditions and obviously provide some other information around the projects that you intend to take forward. So there's quite a few steps to be taken. So I think once, it's probably be helpful if I can sort of have a conversation offline with Carl and Jill about, those stages go through. But yeah, all in all, it is just really positive. I don't know whether anybody's got any particular questions. I don't know, Carl, have the heads of terms been shared with the board? Not
yet. No, we were going to do it after the meeting, because the papers went out in advance of the.
Yeah. So I think it's just really, so if anybody has any questions, I would look at the heads of terms. It'd probably be worth sharing the business case guidance as well, so that you can see the 2 things in conjunction. And then if you have questions, then just do get back to me as soon as possible, so I can, give you some answers, hopefully.
So, Chair, I'll circulate both documents after this meeting.
Perfect. Question or comment from Andy James?
Yeah, thanks, Guy. Just wondering which projects had the conditions on.
Yeah,
do you want me to do that, Carl, or you're going to do it?
I was going to, but if you've got it to hand, Mel, you can do.
Yes, I have. Yeah, so it was the low carbon housing project, the low carbon energy network strategy, and the rail station feasibility study.
Okay, thanks, Melanie.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yeah, Councillor Renwick?
Sorry, Chair. I just wanted to thank Melanie also for helping us guide us through this process. Absolutely thrilled to hear the news. Very exciting for Claycross and the district, and look forward to continue working with you in the future. And thanks to all the board. Really chuffed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
terrific. That really is thanks to everyone involved. It's been a long slog to get it all done, but it's excellent results. Really promising for the area in general. So well done, everyone. There's no additional comments. We can move straight on to the accelerated project, which is point 5. Again, Carl, if you'd like to continue. Oh, sorry, Jill, did you have a comment?
No, I'm trying to clap being clever using the reactions, and I can't. I'll put it on and I can't get it off now. Because it is quite an achievement. I don't think you should underestimate it. Compared to what some of the other councils got, we've done very well.
Exactly, yeah. Thank you. Okay, Carl.
Chair. Yeah, so as you're aware, we received £500,000 to accelerate some projects to aid the delivery of the town investment plan. And we had 4 projects identified. The first one is the Bridge Street Depot, which is opposite Tesco's. I'm sure people are aware of the depot itself. Well, we took the decision that the depot was past its best and wasn't fit for purpose. So we've taken the decision as a board to demolish the depot, which if anybody's been near Claycross recently will see that it's well underway. The last update I had was there's one building left on there. So that's moving really well. And then the next stage will be putting planning, looking for low carbon usage commercial space on there. So again, it fits with that gold thread through the Claycross Town Investment Plan of that low carbon energy usage on there. Demolition of the former junior school and also purchase the former constabulary building. As we're aware, because of the nature and complexity of those pieces of work, we weren't able to do it within the original March deadline. However, we have been given permission via Mel and the funders that were able to roll that into the next financial year. So that work's underway. So we've got some additional surveys to finish at the junior school, and then that work will progress. And we met with County Council yesterday. They had a really productive conversation around the constabulary building and the purchase of that. But then the really exciting bit is the art project. So that's something that personally I think is something that's going to have, it is having an immediate impact on the people of Claycross. I see it's the mine shafts, or the ventilation shafts, sorry, have been replastered and in a position that you can have a light project projected onto there. So that's something that originally we wanted to purchase the equipment to keep it and then to do the art project after that point and then use it further on down the line. It's not been possible for us to be able to purchase that equipment longer term, so it is going to have to be dedicated to this art project. As you can see from the report, some of the feedback we've been receiving is absolutely fantastic in terms of the engagement with young people in the area and the difference it's making, and sort of helping to pull together the artwork for there. Part of the issue, though, is it is a spectacle, an event, if you will, which is really difficult to do in the middle of a pandemic when we're not allowed to have people meet or be near each other. So the suggestion from the people who are doing the work is to delay the final light show on there until there's a point where people can actually attend and be engaged fully in it. And we now have the roadmap handily in terms of where we should be, and hopefully get that route out of the pandemic and into a position where we return to some sort of level of normality where we can actually move past the rule of 6 and have that mixing outside. So the ask of the board is, are you comfortable as a board for us to delay the light show from the planned time to later on in the year when we're past that roadmap of, I'm seeing a few heads nodding already. So I'll leave it there. So are you happy for us to delay the light show until we're out of the pandemic?
Good, thank you. Just a slight update from when that document was put together, Carl. The proposed dates from the digital arts and the local arts are the 22nd to the 26th of September, deliberately chosen when the kids have gone back to school, because a lot of the children have contributed to this, and it'd be a good idea to let the teachers remind the kids, to remind the parents, to get that buy-in from the community to go actually and see this as well. Yes, Councillor Renwick?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. It's sadly, a lot of us haven't got across to Clay Cross because of the lack of being able to move around to see this. But the pictures that I've seen are absolutely stunning. I think they're amazing, and I just wondered whether we could actually, in one of our meetings, meet some of the people who contributed to it, just to show our thanks and appreciation. But I'm really impressed with the images on the ventilation shafts.
Yeah, looks really good. They've also proposed doing some work in between now and then to generate the interest, such as exhibitions in the library or putting some displays in the church, that type of thing, at a social centre. So I think that's a really good idea as well. Andrew King? You're on mute again, sorry, Andrew.
Can you hear me now? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Carl, I just wondered whether you could just give a little bit more information on the constabulary building. I understand that, as you say, the demolition of the former junior school is not going to take place now until next year. But what's the position with the repurposing of the constabulary, former constabulary?
Well, at this point, if I can, Chair, at this point we're discussing with DCC the mechanism to get the building valued, and then the process of how we would transfer the ownership. And then the idea is that the constabulary building would be in North East District Council's ownership, and the countryside service would stay in there until at such a point when it needs to be used for as part of the town investment plan work that we're looking to do. So at this point it would be sort of business as usual for probably a year, maybe a little bit longer, and then at that point we can start to see, well, how does it fit into the town investment plan? How do we make it part of that creative hub area work that we're doing around that sort of area? So you wouldn't see much difference in the first instance, because the countryside service would continue to operate out of there until we're at a position where we're ready to move the business cases on and turn that into the next phase of its life, really.
So, but the plan is to repurpose it. It's not to demolish.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, yes. It's not. There's no plans to demolish it. It is to be repurposed.
Right.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? And if not, then I move that we approve the decision for moving the date of the light projection. I'll say Councillor Renwick seconding that. Thank you very much. And then we can move straight on to the working group update. Maybe, is that Jill? Could you give an update on that?
I think the working group update is Carl rather than me.
Apologies, Carl.
It's all right.
Actually, I believe the working group update was Councillor Renwick.
Apologies.
Pass the pass, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, not the working group. On the communication strategy, sorry.
Working group. So the working group. So we're going to have the communities, and the suggestion is.
Oh yeah, sorry. Well, yeah, we've got, obviously we agreed the number of working groups to go with the 10 streams of the bid, you know, and actually without a shadow of doubt, the announcement this week just shows us the amount of positive PR and communications that we should be getting out from this project. We have 10 projects, so despite the announcement of just the actual bid itself, we've got 10 other strands of PR. I know that Nexus and the council did quite a lot of consultation during the run up to this, and it obviously quite difficult in the constraints of COVID. But I do think that the community engagement is going to be really important going forward, because obviously people are going to start seeing activity in our town. People will now be well aware that we've got the funding, so this is going to happen. We've got quite a number of people actually contacting the council in terms of investors and business, so this is all really positive. So we're proposing to set up a combined communities and communication strategy working group, because that's helps us as a board to, you know, it's quite a big ask for all of us to get to reach every part of the community. So the idea is we have somebody to lead on that. We've got in mind, and I'd like to propose that Councillor Alan Powell, who's our cabinet member for communications and communities. He's an experienced editor of two very well-known Sheffield papers in his previous employment, and he has a good handle on this, and I think it'd be quite good for him to help coordinate. I'm keen to make sure that all the community groups are able to feed into this, and obviously it's in the paper that's set out today. It's actually a condition of the fund anyway, and I just think this is the best way to actually improve our communications and community engagement, would be to have this working group sitting alongside the other working groups. And I hope I can have someone to second that, and that the board agree as a strategy going forward. Is that Gary? Thank you, Gary.
A second from me.
So anybody want to ask any questions about that, or and if not, is everybody happy to support that? I can see very few people actually on mine. Everyone's blanked out. I don't know if Damon's able to.
Can I, Caroline? Sorry, it's Nigel.
Sorry, Nigel, I can see you. Yeah.
I don't know how many people you can see on your screen. I've just put my camera on. I just wondered how the parish council and I know Jerry's on the call fit into that. You know, the communities and
Well,
and all that. And I know I've asked it past, and I know you know it's a joint thing, but I just wondered if there's a role for the parish council in.
Well, that's exactly why it's communities and communications, because we recognise that whilst we have one representative from the parish council and a number of us councillors, it was to broaden it out to the wider. So there was opportunities for others from the parish to join, for instance. So that gives it a more practical. You know, we want to, as many of us as possible need to spread the word, so it's getting the right people into the mix. Carl.
Thank you.
If I can, through Chair, a couple of the local councillors have already expressed interest in joining. So Councillor Vida and Councillor Rouse are both asked if they could be a part of that group. So I think that's an important link between Claycross and the parish and the board.
Thanks, Carl.
Sorry, I noticed Jill also had a hand up.
Sorry, I was just going to say that I think we slipped into the consultation reports, and I just had a few other things to say about that. Are you happy, Chair, for me to talk about the consultation?
I am, yes, please.
So just leading on from what Councillor Rennick was saying, in that report, it also covers about our consultation strategy going forward, and it's going to be a really key part of managing and getting buy-in of the community and businesses to deliver the wider aspirations for Claycross. So in that report, you will see at the end there is a very, very basic comms plan for this, which will get populated by that group. And what we are looking for is people to sit on that group. So we've got the two councillors now who represent the parish and the district, I believe. We've got Councillor Powell, who has got that experience to chair it. what we would need is somebody from this board to be the link to feedback into the board about what's happening in that work stream going forward, because all the work stream, the people on the board, a number of them all sit on the work streams, and they will be being asked to feed back into this board. So that's somebody needs to consider who needs to sit on that. And we will be looking to go out to get businesses in the area that are comp savvy, really, to help us spread the word and come and ask to join that workshop. The board itself is big enough, so this is an opportunity for other people to get involved and influence what's happening. So we're talking to, just so you know, so we're talking to a number of businesses I'm talking to a number of businesses this afternoon that we may look to see if they'd be interested in joining that work stream. Can I just put a plug in for those of you that are on LinkedIn? Claycross Towns Fund has now got a LinkedIn profile that we are trying to spread the word about what we're doing to look for investors. We're out to procurement for the consultants to do this next piece of work. So if you're on LinkedIn, can you link to the Claycross Towns Fund, please, and start spreading the word through your networks.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Jill. Actually, all the various social apps, media apps, I spent, I think, the end of budget day evening circulating and pressing forward on Facebook, in Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and I've actually had some responses through LinkedIn. I think it is important stressing again that we are getting businesses and investors actually talking to the council. So this is really positive news that people are hopefully getting excited as we are about what Claycross is how it's going to be transformed going forward. So it is incumbent on all of us to try and do our bit. The more of us that can get out the message and share the story, the better.
A question from Andrew King.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Renwick. Yes, I think it's enormously important, the communications to the community at large, particularly the residents, the people, the ordinary inhabitants and users of Claycross. It did just cross my mind, just thinking on the hoop really, about the work that's been done on the public art, and clearly I can see the Market Street ventilation shaft, which is just outside the old job centre, how well that now looks, because it was something of a nice sort, so very nice to bring plastered and painted. Is there any possibility that we could perhaps consider a projection on there of an update on what is happening? I just float the idea, but I just wonder whether that would be a way of telling people, local people, what is actually happening, because they will take notice of what they see on signage, and something like that, particularly as a projection, I think it would have initially a novelty factor to it, and I think people would, you would get information out there. Just a thought. No,
it's a great thought, and which is why earlier on I mentioned that I think we ought to have the art group to this forum. I imagine that lots of streamers and the big announcement itself being on there for a few, if we can get that, make that happen, just to let people locally know that 24.1 million is coming to us. It absolutely should be used as an information sharing. How to connect to us, where to come to us in terms of being part of it, or feeding into people, into what people want to see. So yeah, I think that's something that hopefully the comms and communities group can do, and I think that's the point. I think that's why we thought it was an important additional group to our working groups, because there's going to be so much information. I mean, the art project itself needs we could make a lot of publicity out of that in itself, I think people, I did an interview with BBC Derby, and they mentioned it. So I was able to actually talk a little bit about, hopefully people at Clay Cross be able to see the art projects on the ventilation shaft. So it's already, known. So yeah, absolutely. I think we have to be imaginative. I think that's why it's important to have the community communications group, because we all have our part to play in the Bush Telegraph from some councillors and the various groups is a really good way to talking to residents. But also there's the more modern media, social media, and things like the ventilation shafts PR all add to that. I think we have to be broad and wide, and that's why I think we need a little bit more expertise to make sure that our reach is as far as possible. And as Jill pointed out, the draft agenda pack, we've only got a small amount of population. What we're going to do, I expect that to be highly more populated by the end of this next 12 months when we're starting to work up projects.
And the topic of the protection, Andrew, has been discussed with regards to the town fund plans. Unfortunately, it has to be dark for the protection to be really effective. So it's something that we're looking to do between segments when they do the exhibition on the 22nd to 26th of September. So it's definitely an idea that we've looked at and will be doing. But whether we can have something a little bit more permanent is a little bit more challenging, but it's certainly something we're looking at.
Thank you.
Question from Melanie?
Yeah, just to say that there's still support available for you from the town's fund delivery partner, and certainly with regards to sort of consultation and stakeholder engagement, there are resources available on the town's fund website that would just help with that. So it's worth, when you touch base with them as regards the phase 2 support, do consider backtracking and looking at the support that's already there in terms of consultation, etc.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so I think we've covered topics 6 and 7 there, so unless you've got anything to add to the communication strategy, Jill? All complete, good, thank you. Then I'll move over to point 8 on the agenda, board members recruitment. Councillor Renwick, did you want to take this one?
No, I think this is Carl, because apologies, I haven't got the for some reason I haven't got the pack, so I haven't got the agenda.
No problem.
No problem. I can pick this up, Chair, if required. So, as you know, we went out for advert for additional private sector board members because I think we all recognise that the pandemic meant that some of our private sector partners had to focus on their business because of the nature of the industry they were working in. The people we've spoken to really will add value, actually, but it was felt that they may be more suited to working on one of the working groups, and that's partly because of the challenge that they have in terms of the land that they own and the interest that they have within Clay Cross. Means it'd be really difficult for them to sit on the board if we're then making decisions around their land or anything where they have a significant financial interest in. So it'd be unfair on them. And I think in terms of transparency for the wider Clay Cross, it might be quite challenging to see that somebody potentially may benefit, and it could be seen to be that the board has facilitated that. So what we're going to do is ask these people who've got really the relevant skills to join a working group, so we still capture that need and ability that they have and can bring to the board, but not in a position where they're going to be not able really to participate fully. That being said, however, there have been other people come forward since then, and there's 3 of them. 2 of them so far have met with the chair and vice chair, and they seem to have all the right skills. Again, interest within Clay Cross, but not in such a way that it would make it impossible for them to fully engage with the process. One is a business that's just outside of Clay Cross, but obviously draws a lot of their workers from Clay Cross and have an interest in the area and really keen on promoting not just the part that they work in, but also Clay Cross as well. So as part of the terms of reference, it is a board decision and it requires a report to be submitted. So if you don't mind, Chair, I was going to suggest that I write a report identifying who the board members, potential new board members are, submit it to the board, and I'll do this via email because we don't want to wait until the next board meeting, because at that point then they're missing out on joining. So in between now and the next board, I'll submit that report. If you can respond via email to say yay or nay. If it's a nay, it'd be fantastic to understand the rationale behind it, because it is felt that these people will bring the relevant skills and ability and business know-how and that private sector focus and lens to the work, but also they're not in a position that they're not going to be able to fully engage because they're conflicted in such a difficult way. So if I can, Chair, that's my suggestion. Is that something that's acceptable to the group?
It's been a number of months that we've been a little bit light on business representation, so it'd be really beneficial to get this moving quickly. So I would totally agree with that, Carl. So if we can do that in the next couple of weeks, that would really help us out, I think, as a group.
Yeah, no problem. I'll circulate that report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving straight on to the Claycross Town Investment Plan, the way forward. I've got Jill or Carl for this topic.
It's me, I think.
Yep. Yeah.
So within your pack, which is item 9, it's just understanding what our next steps are. We've discussed quite a few of it, but I think it's worth, if you go to page 24 of your pack, you'll see the flow chart. And it's a pity we're not sharing screens today, because I think it's quite important to see how far a journey we've come. And if you look at that, all the stages we've already come through are there, and we're down to where the star is, and that takes us just over 2.5 pages. There's an awful lot of work being done to this stage.
Is it possible to get that on screen at all?
So I see if I can share. Oh no, I can't. It'd have to be Asha.
Just bear with me.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
I think you're right. Seeing it on screen, Jill, does help a lot.
Yeah. Can you put it on page 24, please? And make it slightly bigger. Thank you. Lovely. So you might remember that we put this together, I think around the time I joined the council, which was last May, just so everybody understood where we'd come from and where we were going. So you just start scrolling down. I won't go through everything, but you can see that you all got together back in November, December 2019. And since that time, an awful lot of work has gone on. Carry on, Joe. And a lot of work during the summer where we did consultation on the plan. Plan then got submitted towards the end of the year, so we went for the December deadline. And the star is where we are up to now. So we have been allocated the funding, but we have to go through certain hoops now to actually secure that. And that involves us getting the business cases sorted for each of our 10 projects. And as Mel said at the start, 3 of those projects, it's not exactly a question mark, but we need to give some more information on them because they're not as clear as what the government would like them to be about how that works. Now, in the next few months, what we will be looking to do is appoint consultants. So we were out to procure consultants now because the government have a set form of how the business cases need to be done, and it's a 5-case business case, and you have to meet certain criteria and meet government guidance. it's quite a specialist area, and so we'll have consultants in to do that, to work at those business cases and to make sure all the finance is right, the economic outputs are right, that we've got proper consultation, that everybody's on board with that. So that's what we're going to be doing over the next few months, and we have 12 months to do that. So as Mel said, we've got 3 weeks to sign the heads of terms, then we've got is it 2 months or 3 months after that, Mel, to work up where those grey areas of those 3 projects, to get some clarity on that, and then we've got 12 months to start working up those business cases. Now, some of our business cases are much more worked up than others. So, for instance, Sharley Park has been worked on well before the business this work came out. And what we're being told is that we may be able to put certain business cases as a group forward earlier than the rest. We can't do them one by one, but we could put a group together to take them forward earlier. So I think at some point we'll probably come back to the board if we think that's something viable, because what we can then do is accelerate delivery, which would be suit a lot of people, I think, to see delivery earlier on than later. Do you want to carry on down? Thank you. So the final business cases will be probably about 15 months, 16 months for the main part. If we get some of them earlier, great, we'll look to do that. And then there'll be a little bit of to-ing and fro-ing, I should imagine, so we get clarifications around our business cases and what it actually means. And then the money would then look to be allocated, and we have to, for those that know, heads of terms is kind of like a legal agreement between about how we will use that money, and then basically when we've done the full business cases, we get the money allocated, but that comes with conditions that we use it for those purposes. And so that's kind of what we're looking at the moment. So this board will be, and all those working groups will be working on those business cases with the consultant to bring back to the board for approval. Mel, have you got anything to add to that?
Oh yeah, sorry, I can't. My hand down. Yeah, so it's, I think you've actually got to the 17th of March to accept the offer, and then you've got 2 months to put in your you've got a form that you need to complete from the Annex A of the business case guidance, which kind of does a little sort of breakdown of each of the projects that you're preparing to take forward. And at that point, then you can identify those that you might want to accelerate. So some people will have done that within their town investment plan itself, but there's a stage now where you can identify those projects that you would like to accelerate. The information that you're going to be providing within that with that acceptance, I don't know what we've actually called it. I don't think we've called it. You're accepting the offer, and then it's sort of it's confirmation, I suppose, of the projects you're taking forward. And at that point, you will be telling us some information about the match funding, the expected outputs and outcomes of your projects, and again, whether you want it to be fast tracked, and also that breakdown between capital and revenue funding within your overall ask. But don't be too concerned about that, because obviously we recognise that a lot of that information will still be indicative until your business cases are worked up. So there's an opportunity then, when you submit your final summary of all your business cases, to actually identify the actual information, as it were, should I say, for those items. So don't be too concerned about what you're putting in those initial confirmation documents for your projects, because we recognise there will be some movement as you develop your business cases, and there is plenty of scope as you go through this process for changes to occur as well. So if there is an instance where you decide not to take a project forward, there are points where you tell us that. There are points where you could introduce another project, and there are points where we would look at changes to the projects that you're keeping within your program. So it's just reading that business case guidance carefully, and then obviously just keeping that open dialogue with us as you go through the process.
Okay. Jo, could you stop sharing? I think everybody needs to. Thanks, Mel.
Is that helpful, or is there any other questions around that side of things that anybody's got? think it'll all become a lot clearer when you see the business case guidance.
Or not, as the case may be.
Well, or not, yeah. And also, just to say, there is monitoring and evaluation guidance on its way as well. I don't quite know the time frame for it, but it's certainly a document that is more or less close to completion. And I believe that the Towns Fund Delivery Partnership have actually already run a workshop around the monitoring and evaluation for this programme. So tap into that as soon as possible, because obviously that is something that's going to be important for you as your business cases are developed.
Okay, thank you. Tom, you've got your hand up there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, so from our point of view, we've had a fair bit of experience of going through these processes and working through it at the LEP, so more than happy to help where possible and help you to any advice you need on the process or the business case development, then we're here and available to help you along that way. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. If there's no further questions, we'll move on to point 10 of the agenda. Any other business? If we have no questions on our topics, then just before we, sorry, do we have a comment there or? No, then just before we close the live feed, does anyone have any comments to add to the funding announcement? Does anyone want to say anything to the general public before we close this for those viewing on YouTube? No. In that case, is it possible to close the live feed now? Due to we need to exclude the public to avoid issues with disclosure for exempt information.